Well, so let's move on to the unicorns. Because is it true that they are coming back now? That they were also more active, I guess, during the Atlantis golden era, and now they're coming back?
In Atlantis, everyone was open psychically. Everyone had a unicorn and they were aware of their unicorn with them, even if it was as a pure white light. And that unicorn would shower them with blessings and love and light and hold their frequency high. At the end of Atlantis, the energy went down too low. The unicorns had to withdraw because they couldn't bring their energy down that far. Then in 1987, at the harmonic convergence, so this started at the start of the period of purification of the Earth, appeared a crack in the Stargate of Lyra, and the unicorns took the opportunity, or some unicorns took the opportunity of slipping through that crack. They saw people with lights on over their heads to say that they were in service, and the unicorns went to those people and helped them to do what they wanted to do to serve. And so many people connected with those seventh dimensional unicorns. But last year, in 2015, the Stargate of Lyra opened fully. Now, you might remember that last year we had all these supermoons, incredible high-frequency moons pouring the divine feminine into Earth. Archangel Christiel, who is in charge of the moon and in charge of the Stargate of Lyra, poured his energy through the moon onto us to raise our frequency. So last year, when the Stargate opened, ninth dimensional golden horned unicorns started to come in. They again are touching people who are ready. They are taking them into much higher levels, pouring their light into them. Since last year, we have been able to access energies higher than ever before. Now, everyone can link into 2 dimensions higher than they are. So if you're a 3rd dimensional person, you can link into the 5th dimension, and you can touch the angels in the 7th dimension. Is that clear?
Yeah.
If you're a 5th dimensional person and you live your life in service and cooperation and kindness and goodness and on your ascension path, then you're connected to the 7th dimension and you can link into the 9th dimension. And so last year, many 9th dimensional energies opened up and poured into the planet for people to access.
Is it that specific that now I'm on the 4th and now I'm on the 5th? Isn't it like you're kind of moving a little bit forth and back?
Sure, we move forward and backward, but the more consistently you live your life at a higher frequency, the more you stay in the 5th dimension, and your 5th dimensional chakra column comes down, and then you become fully in the 5th dimension.
You said Lyra. What is Lyra?
Lyra.
Lyra.
It's a stargate in the universe, through where Christiel has his home. And Archangel Christiel works with the causal chakra, which is above the head. And this itself is a portal. When it's open, then you can connect with the angels, the higher illumined masters, the unicorns, and higher spirits.
But these unicorns, like, I didn't know even that existed, you know. I thought it was just the fairy tales, and it still it still puzzles me that I include something in my belief system and other things I'm like, no, I don't think so. Like mermaids, even that I think I saw that you mentioned mermaids. I'm like, but that's not real. But are they?
Sure. But they're not in our wavelength. So most people can't see them or hear them. But mermaids are elementals, and they look after the flora and fauna in the oceans.
So they exist in another dimension again, or?
Well, it's as simple as imagining that you're tuning in a television set into different stations to different programs. And so if you've got a television that can connect with various different programs, then you can connect with the beings in those programs, the elementals, the dragons, the unicorns, whatever. But if you are always on the same program, then you can't connect with the other beings in the universe. And more people now are tuning their inner antennae into different wavelengths.
So that's probably why we have them in the fairy tales, because they
knew.
Someone has known.
Absolutely. Isn't it interesting how pictures of dragons have been consistent, because that's how psychics saw them, how unicorns have been consistent, angels have always appeared in a similar way, and it's because that's what psychics saw.
So dragons, for instance, what do they represent? Is that really a bad thing, like the shadow sides of us? Or
absolutely not.
No?
Dragons are open-hearted, high-frequency beings. Again, they were very much in Atlantis, and the fourth dimensional elemental dragons have done something awesome for us on Earth. At the end of Atlantis, they were offered promotion into the fifth dimension. They were offered ascension, and they turned it down. The reason they turned it down was because they so love Earth and humanity. They said humanity will need us in the period between 2012 and 2032. And so we are going to stay in the fourth dimension because we can help much more. The reason they can help more is that angels can come down, say, to this frequency, but dragons can delve deep, deep into much denser matter. So, for example, if you have a war zone, what my guide says is send the dragons to clear the deep, dense energy underneath and around the people, then send the angels to light the area up, and then send the unicorns to pour their high-frequency pure light on top. And so that way, each one on their different waveband is doing a task.
I wanted to go back to the unicorns, because you had an encounter with a unicorn. You were sitting outside with your laptop or something like that, and then a unicorn appeared?
Well, not quite like that, but similar. Okay. I, like you, I just thought they were fairy tales, and I didn't, even though I was working with the angels, I really didn't have any understanding of unicorns. And then one day I was sitting there working on my laptop in the garden, and this energy appeared behind me. And I couldn't see it, but I knew it was pure white, and I knew it wasn't an angel. And then, of course, it told me it was a unicorn. And it asked me to write about unicorns in that book I was writing at that time. And then later they came back and they asked me to write a book about unicorns. And so I've also had many encounters since then. One was really amazing, where I was walking in my local forest and a unicorn appeared beside me and offered to let me ride on its back. And part of me was in the dimension with the unicorn, and another part of me was walking on the ground. Now, the interesting thing was that suddenly, with the unicorn with me on its back, moved onto a different pathway. I was still walking on the other pathway, and somebody with a dog came down my pathway. And I said to the unicorn, "Why did you move? Why did you take me off the path?" And he said, "It's because the dog would have sensed my presence and he would have been disturbed by it."
Right.
And I thought, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because I was living in two worlds at that time. I was perfectly aware what was going on in both of them, but there was a split.
Wow. I gotta say, you're lucky. I mean, it seems like, fantastic to experience these things. So how do they look like?
Well, they are white ascended horses. So all pure white animals carry the Christ light, and they are very evolved animals. And so the horses, when they reach that level, they pass over and they become unicorns. And I know two people who've had the extraordinary experience of seeing their pure white horses passing over and lifting up and turning into a unicorn. I mean, wow, what's that for an experience? Wow. Isn't that awesome and amazing?
Yes. Do they have wings and then this horn?
Well, the horn is the third eye opening and radiating energy. Oh. So that is the unicorn. The heart energy is the wings, and that's a Pegasus. And of course, people do see horses with both the enlightenment and their heart open. And so you can have many forms. They're just energies.
So can you give people some advice? I often ask this on how we can come in contact, like people like me, it doesn't come naturally, you know. So how can we?
Well, I would say the very first thing was trust. See, you're already putting what you've been saying. You have a barrier up.
Oh yeah.
Well, if somebody has a barrier up, why would you want to break into their house? You know, a unicorn wants to come to you. An angel wants to come to you, but they don't want to have to break the wall down. And so, as soon as you start trusting, then you start talking to them, thinking thoughts to them, and they're there. They're listening all the time, whether you can see them or not. And then they will leave you little signs to tell you that they've heard what you say.
So do you see them, hear them, and feel them? Are you clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient?
I would say I was claircognizant.
Okay.
And telepathic. Now, claircognizance is knowing. You don't necessarily see or hear, but you just know. And that requires faith and trust. And then every so often you'll see. Now, clairvoyance is a much lower frequency.
Oh.
And so is clairaudience.
Okay.
Claircognizance is the crown chakra. It's downloads from the universe. And so at that level, you just have to absolutely know that what you're given is right. And sometimes you'll see something, sometimes you'll hear something. I'm very telepathic. I will get information from the angels that way too.
Right. And I probably asked this the last time, but I have to ask again. We all do have a guardian angel, right?
Right.
One or two, or it varies?
Most people have one guardian angel. Animals always have two. There are a lot of people who think that we have two guardian angels, and I think some people may well have two guardian angels. Usually, with animals, you nearly always see that there are two orbs on it. That's because it's got two guardian angels looking after it. With people, you tend only to see one orb. Now, if somebody is relaxed and comfortable, say they're having a conversation or they're at a meeting, then their guardian angel orb will be on the wall. They don't need them. But if that person is uncomfortable, that guardian angel orb will be right on their physical body.
Would you know how many guardian angels I have?
Well, I'll tell you something. For somebody who doesn't believe, you've got a lot of blue energy around you. Oh. Your guardian angel is tinted with blue, sits on this side of you, talks to you a lot. You communicate with it all the time, and you just don't trust what it communicates to you, but you follow it. Very often when you're asking questions, when you're talking on the radio, or in the other things that you do, your guardian angel is feeding you with the questions and the information.
I like the part about the blue because I'm so drawn to blue.
Yeah, and it's a very similar blue to that.
That is
so it's a blue of communication.
Right.
Basically, it's helping you to communicate your ideas, your thoughts, your fluency, your courage. Because blue is the color, that blue is the color of courage. And for what you're doing, you needed courage for your soul.
Right.
Someone else might not need courage. They just open their mouth and blab it out. But for you, you've had to overcome your barriers.
Oh, yeah.
And for that, you need strength. And for that, you need the angels to be supporting you.